On September 26th, the Dota team released the autumn update for the subscription-based DOTA Plus service, it bringing many mechanical and cosmetic additions to the game for people who subscribe to DOTA Plus. Obviously, this is not what you came here to listen to, but this is important. The DOTA Plus autumn update was significantly larger than most expected, with a lot of engine-level changes taking place under the hood. And like I've said before, when Dota 2, a Source 2 engine game, receives engine-level changes, it's very likely that you're going to be seeing other projects' development seep in, and that happens to the largest extent I have ever seen in my entire career. Over 500 Source 2 virtual reality development strings have leaked in the autumn Dota Plus update, and I will not be going through each one individually. However, if you are interested in taking a look at everything that I have found, the text file of all of the strings found is down in the description below. The most important things seen were a lot of things related to haptic managers, the vibration effects that players feel within their controllers, and the different fine details that developers can control within gameplay mechanics. Procedural animation for both AI and the first-person player within VR in order to generate proper animation smoothing for legs and hands depending on the distance between the leg and the surface the foot is supposed to be on. This is kind of complicated, but all of the strings discuss things like foot lock ground tracking on slopes, and the ability to be able to generate animations based on physics objects interacting with both the players and the bot's movements. And speculation, this likely means that in the flagship VR title, the player has a full animated physics-based body. This is further proven by the nearly 50 strings discussing animations and different body parts in a physical space. Smooth level transitions, as well as a significant amount of VR color control, bone merges, input clamps, and dozens of strings related to per particle control on an engine level, allowing developers to essentially have complete control over what particles will be seen when. One seen particle type is actually a cable, and there are dozens of cable-related strings for both capping off the cables, distance of the cables, the movement, the tessellation, the anti-aliasing, the normal map across a path. A significant amount of work is being done just to have cables in a virtual reality space. To me, what's interesting is an official particle for one of these cables is found within the assets of the update, and it's actually a rope. So cables, hairs, ropes are all the same thing as far as the physics engine is concerned. Texture repetition for both particles and full textures, along with the maximum and minimum steps between said particles, as well as different modes for texture repetition, are all seen. Gravity control, cube map control, and cube map normalization, all for virtual reality, have console commands. Volumetric fog, what looks to be ray-traced audio integration, and a lot of strings related to soft body simulation specifically done for cloth physics. A new NPC type called a flyer is specifically defined. Quote, act as a flyer. 1, yes, don't apply gravity on spawn. 0, no, obey gravity. That is followed by a Source 2 implementation of friendly or aggroed NPCs, as well as conflict responses and conflict interrupts based on player input. Then a lot of relationship data between NPCs is seen. There's a lot of AI work being done specifically for Source 2 virtual reality. Let's read through this. Quote, this entity makes sounds or smells that can be sensed by NPCs but not the player. This can be used to cause reactions to nearby NPCs. The different sound and smell types are combat, world, danger, bullet impact, carcass, meat, garbage, thumper, and readiness. I'm just going to continue showing random new AI data that were found within these updates, and if you know anything about Source or Source 2 engine artificial intelligence development, please let me know what we're looking at here. Model animation events for both body group set values and create particle effects are seen, and specifically with the create particle effects event, there are a lot of parameters that can be controlled. Animation events for playing sounds, looping sounds, footstep sounds, sound positions, stopping sounds, particles creating sounds, and entire animated sequences are all seen within Source 2, might just be ported directly from Gold Source, and then ported strings are seen from both Counter-Strike Global Offensive and somehow Half-Life 2 Episode 2. For those that are interested in Counter-Strike, there is a string that says act CSGO taunt. We will be discussing this in a future video, but it's important to note that taunts have been around in CSGO's code for years, and it is well known to be a feature that will be seen sometime in the future. And then you have these Half-Life 2 strings that were added out of nowhere related to Alex, Dog, Hunters, and Striders. There are a lot of VR visualization debug commands, as well as a reference to an unreleased Half-Life VR enemy, the Reviver in the M_B powered ragdoll string, and a few other haptic and AI nav mesh commands. Then you get to the most interesting things that leaked: skybox textures. It is unknown exactly what these were used for. We do know they're for virtual reality in some regard, and we also know that these are test images that people can pull off the internet. I'm not going to speculate at all on exactly where these were used, but as you can see, I'm showing them on the screen now, and downloads to PNGs of these files are also down in the description below. Let me know what you think these are for. Then, as you've probably heard, Half-Life 2, Episode 1, Episode 2, Lost Coast, and Half-Life Source all had an update a few days ago. All of the major gaming news sites have picked up on it and put a somewhat clickbaity title on these articles, but it needs to be stated, 4 things were changed. Fixed a hitch when saving games, fixed SteamVR running when entering the settings menu, fixed missing sounds on Combine soldiers, and fixed NPCs not blinking. The NPCs not blinking bug has been around for years and is the bug that everyone is focusing on. I'm curious as to what sounds the Combine soldiers weren't making. I haven't been able to get anyone to tell me exactly what sounds were reactivated, but if you know, feel free to tell me. I'd love to learn. But something that needs to be stated about these Half-Life 2 bug fix updates. They've been happening for Half-Life 1 for a while. There are a few people at Valve that find it valuable to keep up the bug fixes for older games, and Half-Life 2 is finally getting some of that treatment. This is not representative of any future product development. People speculating that are wrong. Half-Life VR is in development, it is the flagship title, but the updates to Half-Life 2 and all associated games have nothing to do with it, and anything you hear otherwise is just a lie. If you want to be able to follow up on all of the things I talk about in real time, check out my Twitter page linked down in the description below. I discuss a lot of news that don't end up in videos. It's at Valve News Network, no K. If you have a question about anything, if you're confused about anything, my DMs on the Twitter are open, and I also have an email address down in the description below. If you want to support these videos, because they're not free to make, I have a Patreon page, link to that down in the description below. You get to watch videos early, and you also get your name in the credits. I'm Tyler McVicker, this is Valve News Network. Have a good day. Adios.